Hi.
Hi.
Welcome again.
Where's Von Rutkowski?
I don't know.
Von Rutkowski is retired for now.
Yeah,
he might come back, though.
He's a lunatic.
You never know. Exactly.
Hanging out with Michael Berryman.
Michael Berryman's found love now. He might still be a lunatic, but I think he's okay.
Like a Mickey and Mallory thing.
Yeah, he set down the chainsaw. Only love beats the demon. So
Hills Have Eyes could have gone entirely differently.
yeah, totally.
Final act of-
Exactly. If they just would have found love.
Yeah.
So what did we watch that we promised last time?
That we threatened last time.
Voyage of the Rock Aliens.
Yeah.
Which sent Shawn down a spiral of Pia Zadora.
Right.
Yes.
It wasn't provoked.
Yeah, I was gonna say you did this to yourself, Shawn.
I do this to myself. I mean, back I did this during the Breen films. You know, I just started doing a bunch of research and rewatching those movies several times.
Right.
And
is this a thing? Do you get like obsessive about
sometimes
that kind of stuff?
I have an obsessive personality
Right.
to some degree.
Right.
For sure. It occurred to me when we were talking about this movie that I hadn't really seen Pia Zadora's work. Air quotes. We're on video. Work.
Right.
I knew her as nothing more than a musician, actually, or a singer. And, I wasn't even really that familiar with that.
Right.
I just knew she was in Playboy and she sang some songs. And that's it. So I'm like, well, let's see what else Pia Zadora is all
What
about.
else was she in? She was in
Santa Claus and the Martians.
Yes.
Right, but there's like something that I knew about that I saw her and I can't think of what it is. You're the resident expert on Pia Zadora. What's the movie I was thinking of? Like, what's the biggest thing she did besides Playboy?
Well, Hairspray, she's in for all of 20 seconds.
There's some movie I saw as a child in the 80s that had Pia Zadora.
The 4 movies that I watched were Butterfly.
Okay.
Woof. Fake Out. Pajama Tops. And, Jesus, what was the other movie?
it's all blended together.
The Lonely Lady.
Got it.
Which probably is the one that is...
The Lonely Lady.
One, yeah.
That totally sounds... That's the one. Yeah, for sure.
It's the only movie that's readily available on Blu-ray.
Got it.
And even that was only as of last year.
Right.
And Craig is the lonely man in this one.
Yes, he is.
Swapping roles. I never heard of this movie before until it just happened to stumble across one of my news feeds. I misinformed everybody that it is available on YouTube. When I'm looking at all these different films that I'm considering for View and Spew review, I think this one was one of those where I may have mistaken it as a review. When you put in anything into YouTube, it came up, and then it said like an hour and 43 minutes or whatever, and I just assumed that was the movie, but I think it was, when I looked at it, Shawn, when you said, hey, I don't think it's on YouTube, I can't seem to find it. I think it was some review that was longer than the actual movie, but the trailers are up there. I had to get this through a German distributor. Comes with 2 discs, one that's in 4:3 ratio and one that's 16:9. So they actually did not keep to the original ratio, because on IMDb it says that it was 1:8:5, which is flat, which would make sense. It doesn't look like it's exploded too much. If it was scope, and then they bring it to 4:3 or even 16:9, it would look a little exploded, a little too much grain in there. It's a Region 2 PAL, but this was the only place that I could actually find a version of this movie, and it kind of seems apparent why it would not be in the US.
Yeah,
I'm wondering, because we found out that one of the songwriters, Jack White, who actually is not the Jack White that we know.
I choose to believe it is.
Songwriter / football star in Germany, by the way.
Yes. So he's a football player who became a songwriter.
Soccer in America.
Right. Yeah.
For us Yankees.
Footy.
Footy.
Is it? Yeah.
What happened?
Just saying. I
What?
just like. I want to just like let the glory.
it
I mean,
soak
you're
in?
gonna have a picture, but look at the glory of it. The glory of this movie. All right, so let's get into the meat of. Should people track this movie down? Though is the thing.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Abso-freaking-lutely. Holy cow. Holy cow, this movie. What a thing this is.
A lot of ideas just thrown into the
Oh,
soup.
absolutely. Absolutely. It's a hodgepodge. It's a mess. Like, there's a lot of, like, just real bad falling flat on their face jokes in the movie. But it's just a blender of, like, everything that must have been really kind of hot and cutting edge, like, in 84 at the time. It feels like a very MTV movie.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
1984.
Yeah.
Like the
Yeah.
the time that you want to have music videos
Yeah.
for everything. And that's how this felt. It felt like everything else that surrounded just music videos in between.
Absolutely.
Like
And I
the
mean-
tone would either change.
Right,
I mean, I
right.
know that they did work with the struggle of whatever the character was going through. Like I said, there's a part, Craig Sheffer, his character is like, I'm lonely and, I want her back and I'm just the wild beast. And
Right.
and that was a complete set piece all on
He's
its
talking
own.
about how, about the pressures of being a man and having to keep
Yeah.
up like his appearances
Yes.
and, be the tough dude all the time.
Right. So, I mean, there was deliberate thought in the songwriting process in order to have kind of a cohesive character.
Yeah, for
Development.
sure. But very much like it, a musical in the way that it's like people break into song about the things they're thinking. There's dance sequences and stuff like that. But it feels like it's not like a MTV movie in the way that like Electric Dreams is an MTV movie, which very much is, made by somebody who's an actual music video director and has really tremendous music. And it's almost like these would be two sides of the same coin, right? It's like you have Electric Dreams. This is a really good MTV, and this is just like, well, we're just going to throw all the crap, the crazy fashions, whatever like musical trends were happening at the time. That's kind of the impression I got. I am curious how the response would have been for a movie like this when it came out. Like, I can see this movie being something that people just go ape over at the time. Like maybe a year later they'd be embarrassed by that fact, but at the time in 84 seeing this, oh yeah, this is the coolest movie.
Well, who were the big hitters were Jermaine Jackson. Do you think a lot of the like marketing material was like, Jermaine is in this? I guess we didn't watch
Maybe.
it. We should have watched the trailer
Yeah,
to
we
see if
probably
he was
should've.
just carpeted through all the trailers.
Right.
Or not. Maybe that's part of the reason why this is not available in the U.S. Could
Totally.
be the Jermaine Jackson track.
Yeah.
Pia Zadora, at that time, she was...
Her music career was starting at that point.
Okay.
I think she had just dropped her first record a year or two prior.
Right. I would think it was, also just like the styles, the new wave thing, which certainly wasn't brand new in 84, but still was kind of cutting edge in 84. People that knew the things probably knew about it before, but I would say that 84 is, unless I'm wrong on this, is probably when it was really starting to hit the mainstream, so it probably would have felt super fresh, even though these guys are clearly just imitating Devo, kind of badly, but I think that would have been something that would have felt really fresh and new at the time.
Yeah, so you had the style of the Aliens, which was more Devo-ish, and it got
Right.
more Devo-ish as it went on.
Yeah.
Then you had Jimmy and the Mustangs, who were the Stray Cats.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Which
Absolutely.
huge at that time too,
Big time.
84.
Yeah.
That was at their peak. And then I really appreciated the types of things that we were wishing for throughout the movie actually did happen.
Right.
There was the battle
Yeah.
between the two bands on two different stages,
Yeah.
kind of going at it.
There was like a
and then-
dance battle.
Yeah, like see who we can, the kind of the Scott Pilgrim sort of thing.
Right.
Where,
Right.
they're going back and forth. One will stop, the other one will play, and like who's going to win.
And I thought that was cool because it was the same song.
Yeah.
Like they were doing the same song as
their style.
I guess I don't know what that first style would have really been. But then have like the kind of rockabilly style. Then you've got the straight up new wave Devo kind of thing.
Just call it Devo.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
because it doesn't really fit
Anything
into
with
anything
Keith
else. I mean, it's very Devo.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think back to your point about how is this received. I mean, obviously, this is not a movie that's spoken about a lot today. I think it's all because of the actual music acts that are in here. Everyone that's in here is a pastiche of a better band or a better,
totally
better singer. I mean, if you could go back to 1984, take the exact same movie and make it with the Stray Cats, and make it with Michael Jackson instead of Jermaine Jackson, and Madonna instead of Pia Zadora. This movie would be huge,
absolutely,
and talked about by everybody. And
I mean, to be fair, I think you'd probably have to have better music too. It's not just about the performers, but the songs here are just like kind of laughably bad in a lot of cases. Just some of the lyrics are so ridiculous and on the nose. I think that it's funny because this movie, this movie has a sense of humor about itself too.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, I would say that it's not camp in the classic way of camp, is that like it's failed seriousness, right? Like this movie is never intending to be serious. It's obviously supposed to be silly, but it's almost like this movie is made for an ironic viewing future audience, in a way that I don't even think you'd be able to ironically appreciate it in 84. This is something where, and again, like if you're into like that whole kind of 80s, kind of campy thing, this is an absolute goldmine.
I think you could have appreciated this ironically in 84.
Sure.
I don't think that people would look at the music ironically.
Right.
Because, I mean, the music was very much special of its time.
Right.
You got to get that bass in your voice.
Every episode
there we go.
has to have the mic.
What's up, Shawn?
Slowly.
Smoky.
It's like that scene. It's like that scene where he has that thing over his.
That was great. So I mean, there were little bits of just complete joy in this.
Absolutely.
This movie is complete joy.
Yeah, definitely. Again, like there's a lot of really just groan-worthy parts where just things really fall flat and you're like, oh, that's a terrible joke. But I think, absolutely, I guess what, like, The Loft is going to be playing this? Is that right?
Oh, yeah. In a very, very strange twist of fate, this month, which is June 2019, for those for people in the future,
or the past,
or the past, with that.
We'll get
this
to that.
month, the Loft in Tucson is showing. It's Pia Zadora month in the lot. They're showing a different Pia Zadora movie each week. Some have already been shown, and then they're closing out the month with Voyage of the Rock Aliens. I forget which date.
Which kind in that one scene does kind of work with Pride Month as well.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, actually was interesting because like that scene, I thought, because there's a lot of really kind of bad like 80s stuff in here. There's like the, look at the nerd and look at the fat woman with, candy car bars connected to her suspenders,
right.
And stuff like that. And it's like, okay, that's awful. But like in that scene, like actually ended up being kind of progressive.
I don't understand. I never felt that way about a guy before. It was kind of interesting.
You had her friend, who was the grease monkey.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. But man, I don't know. I want to know what day it is. I want to make a trip. But I was just.
I can you imagine seeing this with a packed
That's
theater?
the thing, because what I kept thinking about while watching this was, like the experience of going to something like, for example, Dismember the Alamo, right? Where it's like you don't know what you're going to see, and in having this movie just dropped on you would just have to be such a great experience.
100%,
absolutely. And I think it'd be super super fun, even us knowing, just because you got to figure that if people are going to see Voyage of the Rock Aliens at the Loft, they probably, most of them haven't seen the movie either. It's not an easily accessible film.
No.
So they're just like, hey, this sounds fun, but they have no idea what they're in for. Yeah, I mean, this would be an absolute blast.
Well,
really
you read the synopsis, and even if you want to watch the trailer, I mean, right away, you're just, I have to see this.
Yeah.
I need to know what this is about.
And again, for me, I didn't watch that trailer, so I went in completely clean from that. I mean, I'd seen the poster, that's all, which is the way I like to do these things. And boy, I'm glad I didn't know anything about this, because it was a super enjoyable experience.
So Monday the 24th. It's a Monday. But they're all on Mondays. It's their Mondo Monday series of films.
So how do you explain the plot? What happens from the beginning? We see a flying V spaceship.
Yeah, it's a
guitar.
It's a guitar-shaped spaceship.
Yeah.
And I actually thought at the beginning that it was going to be some kind of like anthology movie or something, because you have this robot and he's he's walking around, and I don't know what exactly are they trying to do.
Marvin the robot.
Yeah, Marvin and
reminded me of that.
Pez dispenser combined.
Yeah, totally,
right?
totally.
Or one of those large gumball machines that you would see in malls.
Yeah, like the big head.
Yeah, with a really big top.
So what happens? Like, they hear music, and they're trying to find out the planet that the music came from. Is that right? Mm-hmm. They really like the music. Yeah. Because there's a song that's playing over the beginning of the movie, and they're like, "Oh, where does this sound come from?" So now we've got to go around and look everywhere for this sound.
Show me what you got.
Right.
I need to see what you got.
And then so they basically go and like scan different planets, and then they show like what you see in the first one. I had no idea what this movie was. The first one's like some like Sid and Marty Croft, like crazy.
Yeah, it's like Showbiz Pizza kind of thing.
I know. I was like, what is this? Oh man. And then
there was Planet Malox that they scanned second, and all that was like big band dance hall.
It was
type
like
music.
ballroom dancing.
Ballroom dancing.
Yeah, exactly. So good. Yeah, and then we get to which is a really good sequence, which again, like, okay, so excised like from the film. That's why I'm like, this has got to be some kind of an anthology. We go to this like kind of like post-apocalyptic planet or something, and
which is America backwards,
right?
Or something like that.
Yeah, and that's where we meet Jermaine Jackson.
As Rain. He's credited as Rain.
What's the Jermaine Jackson gang? Then you have the white motorcycle gang,
right,
with Pia Zadora, as the girlfriend of the lead of the white motorcycle gang.
So I guess it's almost like, in this interesting way, it is like this almost like mirror of Earth, like if it's Earth backwards, because she's also the girlfriend of the leader of the gang in Earth later on, and I don't really see.
Well, and they're all wearing black, so Craig Schaefer's gang is wearing all black. The Pact.
Yeah.
Pack.
Yeah.
Packed would have been better.
Because it's pack of like pumas. Yeah. They're pack. That's how
cougars.
Or
so basically,
lions,
like
whatever it is.
So Pia Zadora is on a motorcycle with her buddy or her boyfriend, and his like all clad in white, like with like white bandanas and like white sunglasses on, and then she like takes one look at Jermaine Jackson and his amazing Jerry curl mullet. And she's just like starts singing to him, and they start singing to each other like while she's like next to her boyfriend. She's like, they're singing this love song.
Well, and you have to remember that Jermaine Jackson is wearing the Spirit Halloween version of Michael Jackson's wardrobe.
Yes, exactly. And then so of course like the boyfriend of Pia Zadora, or like whatever Pia Zadora backwards is, the mirror version of Pia Zadora, and so she like runs off, and she's having like this love affair.
Iddy. So it's because it's Dee Dee, right?
Right. Edie. Oh, just so anyway, so so then
never
like,
established.
They have it's like, and then it's like West Side Story, because then of course the two gangs have to fight, and so they have like a dance fighting song thing where they're like doing like dancing the roundhouse kicks to one another, and
with
I was
kung fu sounds
so on board at this point. Like, this was incredible.
It's the Bad music video.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, only
totally.
with Jermaine.
Yeah. So then, so basically at that point, and that's it. That's all we get for Jermaine Jackson. So they basically have him in this movie on this other planet in this thing that doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of it. And it really feels like when we talk about like this is a hodgepodge, like I just like almost wonder like, was that like a different movie that they were shooting and then decided like they couldn't do the budget or something, so they moved it to Earth?
I think he and her recorded the song.
Got it.
And then it's like, well, we need a promotional video for this because it's 1984.
Right. So it's a music video, basically.
Yeah. So it's that's why it's so entirely separate from the rest of the film. Although it's, stamped right at the beginning of it.
Yeah. That totally makes sense. Absolutely. So, yeah. And then we go to Earth at that point. So, and when we do go to Earth, we've got just basically a beach sock hop that's happening.
Yeah.
Looks like. So yeah, that's pretty astounding as well. So yeah. Well, how do you even begin to talk about what happens in this movie?
Which makes me think we're talking about...
Your thing just keeps moving.
I know,
moving. It's not going to be that one up there. It's going to be that one down there, but it's like really...
Yeah, and it's all right. I'll keep an eye on it. Okay, it's okay. You're super distracted by
I am, because I had to do a lot of work of shifting that video back and forth.
We'll be okay. It's all right. Just grip it. It's just I'm glad it's a video so we can see. You should while you're editing zoom in on yourself being like, oh my gosh. Right.
I just had to look it up because I wasn't sure. But we were talking about the 50s pastiche through the lens of the 1980s. That was happening. You had Streets of Fire. You had bands like the Stray Cats.
Right.
When we were talking about the sock hop beach scene, it made me think of Back to the Beach. Which also was 3 years after this movie.
Ska.
Man, I think Voyage of the Rock Aliens was really inspiring to a lot of people.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I mean, we should talk about that. Yeah. There's a lot of things in this movie.
First of all, this movie loves 50s sci-fi, low budget.
Yeah, for sure.
Monster movie type things.
Right.
I mean, there's a giant leech squid Cthulhu type thing that lives outside of the high school.
Totally.
It's never really explained except that, it's the 80s or we're led to believe, and everything's polluted.
Yeah.
Right.
So stuff is starting to grow. But all the sets of like the spaceship, like the inside sets, they're all cardboard.
Very much.
They're as cheap as can be. They're very Buck Rogers. And I don't even know where.
All the high school stuff and all this kind of acid rain, commentary and no, it wasn't really a commentary, but mentions of it. It was being topical of how can we make this like an environment. Not necessarily they weren't even going for that. It just happened to be
was very
these
topical.
Things that were topical for 1984, right. Which also right away I said this is so much like a light version of a trauma movie.
Totally.
Whether it's Class of '99, Class of Nukem High, or Toxie or something like that.
I don't think they're even necessarily trying to say anything with it. It's just they knew that
that's just
nukes was a hot button thing, right? So they just kind of threw it in there.
This was a musical. They were using whatever they could to get from one musical sequence to another, which is what most musicals do.
Sure.
The town was named Spielberg.
Spelled differently.
SPEE dot now.
No, it was like
BURGH.
It was like SPIEL, then BURGH.
I didn't think there was an I in there.
Oh, really?
I think it was just like
I think it was 2 E's.
Oh, you're right.
Spiel.
Yeah, totally. I'm sure at this point there's going to be maybe something on screen.
Pia Zadora laments that if she goes away with the aliens, she'll never see Spielberg again.
Right. Oh my God. There's some good lines that she says. All my friends are in Spielberg. Yeah, for sure. So we get introduced to Craig Sheffer, who is basically comes out and he's upset that they're doing a song without him, and he's like, I get to say who gets to play music on this beach.
He's always upset.
Right, yeah. He's wearing like a crop top leather jacket, shirtless, which is pretty remarkable for sure. I don't remember what episode. I mean, we don't have to go by scene, but there's like so much. It's like just playing and over again in my head. Oh yeah, and then we got like I think the worst song in the movie is the one. So we didn't even talk about the crew, the Devo crew, and basically
they are the rock aliens.
Right, they are the rock aliens. Right. To be fair, and they did Voyage to Earth, where the robot goes into the fridge and he opens up like a 6-pack out of, and it's little dolls.
Yeah. Next to a tuna sandwich right. and all that.
Exactly, and then he like puts them into like a water thing and basically rehydrates them, and they come out. Like the funniest thing is like the one comes out and he's still small, and they just like put him back.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they turn out to be like these Devo guys, and they sing this like really bad song. I think that was like the worst song in the movie for sure. And they come.
Yeah, kind of a bad introduction.
Totally.
For them,
totally.
Absolutely. But they just got out of the cryo freezer, so
right.
Maybe they're still a little groggy.
This movie has Ruth Gordon in it as well.
That was a treat. I did not expect that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ruth Gordon of Harold and Maude fame, probably for most of the listening audience.
Also, Rosemary's Baby. I think a lot of people know her from. Absolutely.
She's an absolute delight.
Mm-hmm.
She knows exactly what movie she's in, and she's having a lot of fun with it.
Yeah, one of her last films. Thankfully, not her last film, but one of her last ones. Yeah, boy. So you've got the rock aliens meet Pia Zadora. Now, do they meet that early?
Well, they go to the teen hangout.
Right.
What is the name of the place? The restaurant is called.
Oh God! I
think it's called Teen Hangout.
No,
is it not?
3 words.
It's 3 words, right?
Popular teenage hangout.
Oh yeah.
I'll have it right here on the screen.
Right. Maybe
with a chime effect.
Exactly. So you have like these guys, the Stray Cats, do a song.
Popular teen hangout.
Yeah.
That's
what it is.
Called,
yeah. So
maybe I don't know.
Jinx.
Maybe I'm setting myself up to use more sound effects.
Yeah. So I just really you've got the squid in the lake. The lake is all polluted. You got the dude throws his surfboard in there. You've got
and it dissolves.
Right. You got the beehive lady who's everything's stuck in her hair all the time.
More with that.
Yeah, they really could have. They kind of dropped that one.
There's a few things they could have done a lot more with.
Yeah, they dropped that one at some point for sure. But what's the general plot of this film? That Pia Zadora basically her boyfriend Craig Sheffer won't let her sing
in the band.
In her band.
Yeah,
his band. Yeah,
exactly. But apparently in any band, really, because he seems to control who gets to sing in this town.
He controls the beach and everything surrounding it.
It's kind of like Footloose, in a way.
Well, and they're all high schoolers. We have, and I did not expect that. I didn't even realize that till more than halfway through.
Yeah.
Once they were at Heidi High.
Yeah, there's no real established, high school plot at all.
Right.
No,
except for the bathroom scene.
Oh God, the bathroom scene.
Dance sequence in the bathroom with Pia Zadora, and what's the name of the actress that she's her friend?
Yeah, I'll look it up.
Who is easily the best actress in this movie.
Yeah, she was really good, actually.
Actor in this movie.
Alison LaPlaca. And
what do we know her from? Because
so she's in a variety of things. She was in some early Fox network shows like Duet and Open House, which is where Ellen DeGeneres, as far as I know, got her start. It's where I know her from. She's also she's in Fletch as a minor role. Actually, one of the things that I know her from the most is she was in an episode, I think 3 episodes of, it was, I believe, Friends. Friends. So she plays a character named Joanna, but I remember her so clearly. She's in 3 episodes, so she's like somebody who one of the guys dates, and I just remember her very, very clearly from that as well. So I'm sure that's actually where a lot of people would recognize her from too.
She's very good.
She is very good.
She has a special sequence with we haven't talked about.
That's the thing. Like, and it's like as I'm going through it, like, how do you even begin to crack the nut of the plot of this movie? There's so many things that happen in this movie, and
everything that happens just happens.
Yeah.
So we're about to be introduced to Michael Berryman, and whom I'm assuming is his brother. Like, that's supposed to be his brother that's with them.
It's just his homie.
Or his homie.
Right.
They're escaping from a medical facility. And to establish that they're...
criminally insane
Sure.
medical facility.
Right. Sure. Well, I don't think you have to escape from, like, a regular medical facility.
But it says that, right? It says that on the sign. It says criminally insane.
So to establish this, we have one of the aliens go up to the hospital.
I don't know why. Do we know why?
No reason. None. And just basically makes a phone call.
Right.
Says, I'm here. I can't get in.
Yeah. And that's it. Then leans up against the wall. Chainsaw, which is the character that's played by Michael Berryman, referred to by his power tool of choice, escapes from the medical facility criminally insane by chainsawing his way out of the door, and then his buddy just follows behind him with whatever medical apparatus he's attached to.
Absolutely. And he's like breathing through it.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of like got a mask and he's breathing through it. And I was thinking during that sequence that's like kind of like a scary thing for the actor, you know, in like what is obviously this fairly low budget movie, and it's like you have to stand there while somebody on the other side chainsaws.
Oh yeah.
And they don't know where you are. They can't see through. I mean, I'm sure obviously like, okay, we're going to get, but you're pretty close. Like, it was going pretty close to the arm there. I was like, that was like pretty good, and the guy handled it well. Like, I was like even looking for the actor to be like, oh, is he like actually freaking out right now? And he seemed like he was like staying in character. So I think that was pretty good.
He knew where his ex was. They knew to stand on.
Yeah. Looney Tunes.
And it's like a Monkeys episode.
Yeah, totally.
You know, zaniness happens. Move on to the next zany scene.
Yeah,
and
then musical number,
you know, sort of thing.
Right. But you know, and you thought like that might have been the last we saw of Berryman, you know, and I thought that very well could have been as well, right? It's just a little cameo,
because we aren't seeing Jermaine Jackson again, so why would we expect Michael Berryman to come?
They set the expectations very early. In the film.
Totally. But he ends up to be a pretty major character that actually has like a romantic, you know, little storyline. Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to, like you said, Jermaine,
right?
And the principal also was very short and brief.
Totally. Yeah.
Trying to kick all the kids out because there have been lots of murders,
which we don't see.
I was trying to think like how many murders did we see?
Right. Yeah.
Up to that point, because really Michael Berryman just brushed someone's teeth and opened a can.
Yeah, I was gonna say, did you see any murders? Did we see any?
No. But I need to call attention to the can opener scene because that's quite possibly one of the best scenes I've seen in a movie in a while.
So good. Yeah.
Michael Berryman comes after a security guard with various weapons.
Right.
He keeps losing them, and at one point he grabs out of nowhere a normal countertop electronic can opener. And the cop who's like on his butt, like trying to grab something, actually finds a can that he presses up against the can opener and he uses to defend himself, and then the soup or whatever ends up spilling out all over him.
This is a really good gag, definitely.
Yeah, that was solid.
So let's talk about the phone booth.
Okay.
So you literally have there like, we need to transport, and they say, what's our method of transport? And
from the ship to
Earth. From the ship to Earth.
Right.
And it's a phone booth.
It's a phone booth.
Like, just like the one in Bill and Ted.
Yeah, a Mob Bell phone booth.
Immediately we're like, oh, wow, that's crazy. That really, really looks, a whole lot like Bill and Ted's. And then when it lands almost exactly like the one in Bill and Ted.
Yeah, because, I mean, Bill and Ted Well, I'd like to joke stole that from this movie, but realistically, I think both of them are going for the same joke, that they're both parodying Doctor Who.
Right.
Which was aired in America at the time, and of course, the Europeans loved it.
Sure.
So, yeah, you have them traveling in a phone booth. Right. Okay, haha, funny visual joke. But it really does look more like the Bill and Ted.
It's got the
version.
Smoke coming out.
It's got the blue light.
Everybody's cramped into it, like at the end of Excellent Adventure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The lights flicker around it.
And there was something else.
She even has to dial 8 to get transported back to the ship.
Right.
So there's...
You had, I know...
It's uncanny.
We saw that there was the Breakfast Club, which I guess this is the same year as Breakfast Club.
Yeah, same year as Breakfast Club.
So we can't really say that they kind of got that from that, but there's like the whole kind of like dance thing that they're doing in a line. And there was another thing too. I can't remember what it is now. There was like another thing that we're like, holy crap, that's another thing that was, a couple of years before. This was a couple years before that, and it's like uncanny. I can't remember what it is now. But yeah. So you got, are there any of the major characters we didn't cover? What was your guys' favorite song? What was your favorite musical sequence?
Probably the opening song is the best, I think. When the Rain, which is also the closing song. When the Rain Begins to Fall.
Yeah.
Which was a hit in the UK. Yeah, it was like number 7 on the charts in the UK.
Yeah, mine had to be the Nature of the Beast one with Craig Sheffer.
Second that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty good. So you've got, he's singing this song.
Well, he's not singing it. Someone else is singing
someone else is singing it, but his character is singing this song. And it's just like a sudden character turn, by the way, because basically Pia Zadora, she ends up like, she goes away as far as he knows with the alien dude. And he's like missing her, and he's like looking at his a picture of her inside of his locker at school, and he's like,
not just it's like 5 lockers that open up
to have a sex dungeon behind there, like a velvet walled,
and so
creepy shrine.
He starts to like sing a song, about how he has to he can't be himself, and he misses her and everything, and then like this, what did you say it was? What kind of beast did you say? We thought it was a
cougar.
Puma. Did you say it was a cougar?
I thought it was a cougar.
I don't know. Again, not a zoologist here to steal your joke, Shawn. But yeah, so a cougar starts to walk down the hall of the school, and then he's doing this song. He's singing this song, and it keeps on fading to this cougar, and then it's got him standing out in wilderness, next to a tree. He's singing this song with his open shirt.
Well, and the song was very reminiscent of Grease.
Yeah.
The point where he's,
lamenting.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. But then you've got these 2 dancing girls that show up behind him, and they're dressed up in leopard print.
Yeah.
And they're doing these dances, and they're going it's so good.
And then they found this one crevasse that they just used over and over again, where they're spreading back and forth, and then Craig is doing push-ups.
It was so
from one side to the other.
Are you guys familiar with the work of Chris Lilly at all?
Doesn't ring any bells.
So Summer Heights High or Angry Boys or anything?
No.
So okay, well, it's really, I would highly recommend you watch. He's a New Zealand comedian. I think you guys would love him.
Okay.
He does all these different characters, but he does this one character named Smouse, and he's a rapper, and he has this music video, and it's me and you in the animal zoo, and it's very much like that, and it's almost to the point where I'm is this a weird callback to the Voyage of the Rock Aliens, because it's got these women in stuff like that, going like this and everything. It's so good.
Well, I think that's the music video inspiration of this film sleeve too. I mean, in the early 80s, you had a lot of music videos that just randomly had weird shit going on. There was a Madonna video that had a lion walking through it. Was it Like a Virgin? I can't remember off the top of my head. But there's just this.
It was Like a Virgin, and then had the
Weird
guy
Al
with
and
then you had the guy with the lion mask, and that's the whole intent. Yeah. Exactly.
So I mean, it's
get it
similar.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. just that was a pretty remarkable sequence for sure. And like just zoom in on his eyes. Yeah, pretty good stuff. But then also the one on the spaceship with Pia Zadora and the alien dude, and it's like the super sappy love song, and they're like holding each other's arms and twirling, and there's fog rolling and everything.
And back to back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like prom photos, like homecoming photos. Oh man. Yeah.
So the robot has to come to Earth with them.
Oh yeah.
And when he comes to Earth, he can't be walking around.
Oh yeah,
as a giant cylindrical.
Here we go. Here's
robot.
Shawn's.
So they turns into a common fire hydrant.
Well, what did you want initially?
As soon as I saw him turn into a fire hydrant, I'm like, a dog has to piss on this fire hydrant.
Well, I'm saying, what did you want initially when they knew that you have to change your form because we have every planet that we've been to has never seen anything like you, and you have to kind of assimilate your form on this planet.
Right.
And we were all like, "Oh, please be like some."
Oh, I was like, "Please be a hot chick." Please be a hot chick. Like it just seemed like
so generically.
Yeah.
But it was a fire.
But it was a fire hydrant, and so then the first thing is like, this is a silly movie. A dog has to piss on this fire hydrant. It's just what other joke are you gonna do?
So bad.
But this film got me twice with the fire hydrant. First of all, the very first thing that happens is he appears on the sidewalk, and a cop tickets the car that's parked right in front of him as if that fire hydrant had always been there.
Right.
And he even thanks the officer for whatever reason.
Right.
But so you have the whole parking in front of a hydrant joke. And then finally, towards the end of the movie, spoiler alert, when a dog does come to the fire hydrant, it's like trying to get him away, like shoo, 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 shoo,
right.
shoo. And I'm like, it's finally happening. And the fire hydrant starts essentially peeing on the dog.
Right.
Like water's coming out of the fire hydrant, and the dog's like, oh my God, what's going on here? And runs away.
It was really transformative moment of
priceless.
Comedy. Yeah, absolutely.
Priceless.
I would say that it's not quite as good as the electric can opener versus can.
No.
But it's up there.
But I wasn't expecting the can opener and the can.
Right.
And I was expecting the joke that they took up another notch.
Yeah. Totally.
So kudos for the writing staff on joke writing staff.
Another super good joke is you've got Chainsaw and I can't remember Wheezy, whoever is a guy that he goes with, and they go to a gun store and they just like buy all these guns, like just a huge amount of guns, which they don't
somehow
use.
On credit.
Right, exactly. Like and a claymore even, and then he's going down they're going down the street with this shopping cart full of guns, and you got Ruth Gordon as the inept sheriff, and she looks out the window and she's like, keep up the good work, boys. She's like, oh, out there they're exercising their freedom to bear arms, the right to buy bear arms. It's a pretty good joke. And I remembered the other one, Weird Science.
That's right.
Yeah. So there's like a weird science moment, which I don't know. You want to explain what happens there?
I don't know if it's really explainable, but at one point, the aliens are in the popular teen hangout.
Right. Right.
And they explode. One of them explodes. I don't know
the
for
main
what
guy.
Reason. Did a girl touch him or something?
No, he saw Pia Zadora,
and
it turned him on so much,
right,
that his whole body came.
It's pretty much a running theme through her films. So
you are the expert.
So he blows up. Does everybody in the place really react? No. the aliens collect the body parts of their friend.
They react more when they just walk in,
right,
than when he literally explodes.
They gather all the body parts of him, take him back to the ship, flatten him out, and then feed the sheets back into the thing, like in Weird Science when they're putting the magazines of the different girls, and then he comes back out. Flat piece.
Yeah, what they did is they they flattened everything out, all the components, and they put it like onto one big long piece of paper, and like the head was here, then the arm was here, and then the legs were here, and the torso was there. So it was in the wrong order. So then they had to feed it through the computer, then it spit back out as one complete like sheet of paper that was put back together. That then they put them on the table. Pumped. Yeah, and then they had to pump them up into the life size.
Yeah,
science. That's how
with the, kind of the the music in the background being that oingo boingo-ish.
Totally.
So I mean, this movie is ahead of its time.
Very much. Yeah, very much.
Or it's just a product of the environment, a product of the time.
It's a product of its time. I just think it had a little bit of inspiration going forward that it probably didn't even anticipate creating.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious how many people actually saw this movie. I don't know if many people did.
At least 3 people.
1984 was like the hot year for me when I was just ingesting everything that I possibly could and paying attention to as much as I possibly could.
And somehow this slipped your radar.
I've never heard of this before. I mean, maybe it might have been a musical thing because I wasn't, at that age, 10 years old, 10 or 11. I wasn't.
I mean, I was more of a
That's the same year
guy
as Ghostbusters was 84.
Yeah. Night of the Comet,
Last all those stuff. Yeah, all that stuff.
So many better movies.
That's what I'm saying. I was paying attention hard to that stuff.
Yeah,
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah. 84
is a solid year.
Yeah,
it is.
It's. I mean, I don't know.
And it just became more solid for me.
I don't know if I've oftentimes gone through trying to figure out what's the best year of the 80s. 84 is up there. It's either 84, 87, or 82. It's always been 82 for me, but I don't know.
82 had some great content, and I think 84 was the most fun.
Totally. Yeah. That's really a really good way to say it, for sure.
So would you recommend this movie?
Oh, hell yes.
Yes.
Abso-fucking-lutely.
Yeah.
Everybody needs this movie in their life. Even if you don't think you do, you do.
Yeah, it's really like a perfect storm. I mean, are there better 80s musicals? Absolutely, but it's so I guess I want to ask this, like, where would you rank this against like something like The Apple?
That's kind of a different beast.
Yeah,
I mean, wow, no one has ever said this before in the history of anything. The Apple is a better constructed movie than this by far, because this is a music video.
Sure.
And that is a musical for all intents and purposes.
Right.
The 80s gave us some great musicals.
Oh, yeah.
Even stuff that you don't think about as musicals, like Little Shop of Horrors, is fantastic. But I don't know, man. I just saw Xanadu earlier this week, and I love Xanadu, and I love The Apple. I don't think this is a better musical than either one of those movies. But I think that
I think this is more watchable than Xanadu.
This is more watchable than Back to the Beach.
I like Back to the Beach. That's fine.
Shots fired. Yeah.
Why, oh, why, oh, why, oh, did I ever leave Ohio?
Yeah.
I said it.
I
can't take it back.
I don't even want to.
I mean, you're coming off the heels of 6 Pia Zadora movies.
Right.
Well, this is
7.
This is the 6th.
This is the 6th.
Yes. This is far and away, because I'm not going to count Hairspray, the best Pia Zadora experience you can possibly have.
Yeah. Put that on the fucking box. Far and away the best Pia Zadora experience you could possibly have.
Because this is I think this is okay. Just a little quick rundown, because I think this was the last movie that Pia Zadora was in, aside from Hairspray, where she played a character. And she's
not just Pia Zadora.
Just playing herself in a small role, but I think this is the last movie that she had as an actual actress,
right?
Except for the Hairspray scene. By far her best work. by far her best work.
She really gave it her all in this. I gotta say, I mean, is she a good actress? No.
Well, she's got presence.
She's a good dancer.
She's a good dancer. She's a fine performer.
Entertainer.
She's a fine singer.
Right. And she was not phoning it in. I think I could say probably Craig Sheffer was like phoning it in a bit. Like there's some of these people I don't think were bringing their full fire.
Did he have to phone in just standing there and looking sad all the time?
Yeah.
Like he didn't really stretch much further than that.
It's a good point. But I mean, seeing him in something like Nightbreed, like he is capable of acting. And so I don't know if he was necessarily taking this as seriously, but it really felt like Pia Zadora, she was like throwing her whole soul into this role. She was giving the absolute maximum Pia.
Yes.
Yes. Like and I really do respect that. I mean, there was a passion there from her performance that, again, like maybe the talent isn't there, but if the talent was fully there, like this movie wouldn't be what it is. This movie is special because of its imperfections and the way it just throws everything. And I think that, by the way, if you're looking for like ideas of like 80s outfits, freaking watch this movie.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just such like like a explosion of ridiculous 80s fashion. And even at the time, like absolutely over the top.
It reminds me that in National Lampoon's European Vacation, when they decide to go shopping for European fashion and they come out, it's that just wall to wall in this film.
Yeah, for sure.
And then plus the whole 50s influence, because there were times when I was watching the film going, is this supposed to be in the 21st century like it said it was supposed to be, or is this actually the 50s? But then there were things that would tell you that no, this is not the 50s. It's kind of just just a mix of all these different.
And it's something that's so it constantly blows my mind. And I know it's like obviously like everybody knows this, but it's like a couple of years ago at least, it was the same distance between the 80s as for them the 50s was, right? And
well, that's like Streets of Fire.
Right.
It's what they call that, like a fantasy musical, or there was some tagline that just fit that description perfectly for what it was.
And it's a crazy thing to me to like think, because we are all of an age that we remember the 80s. Like we grew up in the 80s. We have memories of going to see these movies in the 80s, and we remember 80s music, and we all obviously love 80s culture, and we love the music of the 80s and the films of the 80s and all that stuff. And really what it was is you had all these people that grew up when they were kids, it was the 50s. And then so when they grew up, they wanted to make movies that were calling back to the 50s. And it's the same thing that's like why we had all these explosion of 80s type movies, right? And synthwave and all that kind of stuff. I mean, really, synthwave is rockabilly, right? I mean, that's the reason we have synthwave. It's basically what the Stray Cats was back then. And so
could you say that that is even kind of a call to Back to the Future?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm sure that's exactly why Back to the Future was indeed set in the 50s. It was the same thing.
Well, because I remember wanting to see Back to the Future because it had to do with time travel.
Totally.
Right. My parents wanted to see the movie because it had all these elements from the 50s and it was nostalgic for them, and that's why it was this thing that was cross generations. Yeah. And how accurate, as accurate as it possibly could be to show the 50s, but it's like, oh, it's so, it's so nice to see like the streets, the difference between what 85 looks like and what 55, what I remember. And this movie has everything and the kitchen sink thrown in.
Big time.
Just when you think you have figured everything out, they introduce new characters, they introduce new situations.
Right.
Some they decide to kind of flesh out a little bit more, and some they just decide to throw away.
There's entire plot points that just get thrown by the wayside. Entire plot points. The aliens, or the main alien, ABCD.
All the different aliens, by the way. It's like you've got one is ABCD, and then they've got like basically they're going like little groupings of the alphabet, and one of them's just the vowels.
Right. And when the gal that you mentioned is naming them off, and she gets to the vowel one, she's like, "Ayu."
That's so good.
Well, why would you not say like A, B, C, D right. as a person living here on Earth?
That's the joke.
But that is the joke, because that guy, everybody else, she's just kind of naming off and phonetically spelling out the alphabet. And when she gets to the vowels, she not only doesn't recognize the cadence of what's happening here, but when she says "Ayu," the alien's like, yeah, that's close enough. Like, and I'm like, that's none of the other guys mentioned anything when they called her name or their name.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, when the aliens apparently have no emotion from the planet that they're came from.
Right.
However,
but not true.
Well, it's removed from them and their planet.
That's then the guy says, like, because he's like falling for her, and then he like tells her, and that's the whole reason she like leaves him in the end, because he's like, because he's like, come to my planet, be in my band, but you have to remove all your emotions, and it's easier this way, and da 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 da. And she's like, oh no, that's good. I'm gonna get out of here. Peace out. Right. But he says, I've got to have a reset when I get back, right? So it's just basically, it's like, yes, they could have emotions, but they probably like
the further they get away from the planet or something.
Well, they have like this little jewel or something, and kind of like a lobotomy sort of feel to it,
right?
Where they turn off your emotions.
Well, no wonder they just go around doing whatever the hell they want, looking for good music.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd do that too.
Yeah, totally.
Why even go back?
Fun movie. I mean, definitely really good. Like, I just think for what it is, like, I think that all the ways that it's bad are what make it good. And I wouldn't call it so bad it's good. It's not like one of those. It's not like just a terrible movie.
It's not a terrible movie at all.
Yeah, that you just laugh at. But it's a really kind of like uncynical movie. It's just like pure 80s style excess. It's just like a really big blast. Like, this is a movie, I promise you, if you haven't seen it, if you can get your hands on it, you've got the German DVD. Obviously it's something that you can get your hands on if you have ways of playing region free stuff, right? If you want to have a movie night and sit down with your friends, drink, whatever you do, you can't go wrong with this movie.
Well, there's no over the top violence.
No.
Graphic wise, there's really no swearing that I noticed.
It's incredibly all ages.
And there's one
there's random
nipple.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
It's like I think it's hilarious.
And surprisingly, it's not Pia Zadora.
Right? What does this have a rating? I'm curious.
Well, it's got the German rating.
I'm just curious what the German rating is. Even I can't even see.
Dein Schwarzhoffen. I don't know.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll look it up on IMDb, see if it says. But my guess is, because at the time in '84, that's probably a would warrant a PG, even with the nudity.
Sure.
Right.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, because that's how freaking it
was. And then all the menu
PG.
It was 1984. PG-13 just started with PG because of Gremlins, right? Or because of,
I believe it was Gremlins.
So it had the menu options, and we decided to click through because it was all in German, so we didn't really know where we were going or navigating toward.
Right.
We watched an alternative opening, which really wasn't that different.
Yeah. Sure.
But the alternative ending for UK, completely omitted.
Like the last song.
The last song.
Well, not the last song, but like the last visual.
They cut out Pia and Schaefer. I wonder, did they just want to get the F out of the movie?
I wonder if it was if it was a timing thing.
I really think that it's the same song that opens the movie that ends the movie.
Yeah, because the song is still there. I mean, it's cut up because they cut out.
Right. I think it's an issue of somebody Schaefer lip syncing over Jermaine Jackson's vocals.
Right. That's possible because like maybe he had an issue with that, and he's like, "Yo, what are you doing? You're freaking having some other dude sing over my voice at the end of the movie." And for whatever reason, I mean, do we even know if this got a release in the United States?
I've seen posters for it, as I alluded to last week, but that doesn't necessarily mean anything too. It could mean that it was being prepared to go.
But you want one of those posters now, don't you?
It's a great poster.
I got
Pia Zadora.
$8.
No. What we need is that Craig Schaefer poster that was in the women's bathroom.
Like
we need the glamour shot.
We have it's like the only sequence I've ever seen where you have like a dance sequence of like legs underneath the stalls in a bathroom.
Oh,
you know? Like with the
underwear
down.
the
everyone's
ankles.
wearing different underwear.
And some are wearing none at all.
And one's wearing none at all.
Yeah,
Racy.
exactly.
That was the joke.
Yeah, exactly. Bathroom dance sequence. But it's also like a slasher movie for a little bit. Like it's a lot of different things.
Like it turns into wacko for a second.
Yeah.
100%. But this is a delight as a result.
Absolutely.
That's why I said it's just a big soup of all these ideas just thrown in.
This is the most fun movie that we've done, I think.
I mean, certainly we had a lot I would say if we're not counting the Breen stuff, definitely.
No, just me and Spew.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Cinema Fantastico, definitely the most fun for sure.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for having us.
You can find us on YouTube, SoundCloud, cultfollowing.co will get you navigated to not only us, but a whole bunch of other things with written reviews, our earlier podcasts, a Cult Following stuff,
many.
Other
Almost
Cinema
100.
Fantastico stuff. I mean, there's just a bevy of 5 years worth of things that we've been pounding the dirt
Content. We have so much content.
Yeah.
You can't handle all the content.
There's so much content. So no excuse to be bored when you are around us. Also, we didn't introduce ourselves.
Last time either.
But for in case people do want to know,
3 guys in a cup.
This is Kyle McLoughlin.
Of course.
Yeah, totally. And then this is Von
Rutkowski.
Von Rutkowski. And my name is Pia Zadora.
All right, bye guys.